go ahead and get started. I hereby call this meeting to order at 4:05 p.m. If everyone on the call can please make sure that your microphones are muted. That way we can go ahead and get started with the meeting. So yeah, to everyone here, welcome to the first public hearing of the Youth Commission. My name is Anusha Kadiala. I'm the chairman of the City of San Diego Youth Commission. We'll be following the published agenda for today's meeting. And the youth commissioners will go ahead and introduce themselves in a short while. So just moving on quickly to the first item on the agenda, which is roll call. So just for a little bit of context or reference, at the start of every meeting, we'll do a roll call for all the youth commissioners. And so in just a minute, Ben Mendoza, our District 9 support staff, will call out each commissioner's name. When you hear your name, just please unmute and respond here. That way Ben can take note of who's present for our official minutes for this meeting. So yeah, with that, I'll hand it over to Ben.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. So for everyone, as Anisha said, I'll be calling folks' names out. And if you could please also correct me if I say your name incorrectly. I want to make sure that I in the future meetings say it correctly. So first up, Commissioner Perla Alcazar Pulido.
Here.
Vice Chair Devin Green.
I think Devin's going to be joining us a little bit later in the evening.
Thank you, Stephanie. Commissioner Elisa Del Monac.
Very close. I'm here, but it's Dylan Monakit. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you. Commissioner Charlie Nieto. Commissioner Avery Wolf.
Here.
Commissioner Barrett Dernbach.
Here, it's Barrett, but great try.
Barrett, perfect, thank you. Commissioner Daxton Gutekunst.
Yeah. I'm texting.
Thank you, Dax. Commissioner Chantal Perry. Commissioner Diego Soto Lopez.
Here.
Commissioner Ken Paula. Commissioner Colin Duong.
Here.
Commissioner Maria Fernanda Freire.
You're close, Frenner. I'm here.
Thank you. Commissioner Andrew Levico.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Jesus Martin Gallegos Munoz.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Oscar David Rendon.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Fartun Adan.
It's Fartun Adan.
Fartun.
Here.
Thank you. Thank you. And Commissioner Evelyn Gomez.
Here.
Thank you. And with that, that concludes roll call, and I'll hand it back over to Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ben. So since this is our first meeting, obviously we haven't had meetings before this, so there won't be any approval of previous minutes. With that, we can move on to our next item on our agenda. This afternoon, we'll have welcoming remarks from Council President Sean Elo Rivera. So I'll hand it over to Council President Elo Rivera.
Thank you, Anusha. And I see some familiar faces. What's up, Fartun? Good to see you. Oscar, great to see you. Jesus, great to see you. So yeah, super excited to be here. It has been a wild couple of days for our office, but this will, no matter what, this is going to be a highlight. So again, my name is Sean Elo Rivera. My pronouns are he, him, his. I represent San Diego City Council's 9th district, and as of Monday, also serve as the council president. And it is an honor to be here with you today. So I've said this a lot before, but I really mean this. And it is my belief that the potential of young people is limitless. I believe that we unlock that potential through investment and investments in time, in money, in energy, emotional support, et cetera. But I also, really do believe that the reinstatement of the Youth Commission is an investment in our young people. And I'm really glad that the mayor has taken this step to reinstate the Youth Commission. And I'm super excited that our office has the opportunity to support you in forging the path ahead for all San Diego youth. Just so for some context, back in June, the council, with the support of the mayor, took an important step in establishing the Office of Child and Youth Success. And our office worked very closely with Councilmember Campillo's office to fight for the investment in funds to do that work. And the plan there is that we want to involve young people in the critical decision-making that is going to impact your lives, and that in doing so, we can meaningfully and intentionally engage you. And so today, as we see the Youth Commission reinstated and reignited, we recognize that your voice is going to amplify the experiences of young people throughout the city. And it should also provide a space where young people can shape and guide our city with your expertise. And that part's really important to me. I had the good fortune of working with young people for a long time now. I was a high school coach from basically the day I graduated from high school through my mid-20s. I taught overseas in South America and in Korea. And I had the chance to work with young folks. This is how I met Partoon, actually, is my time at Mid-City Can. But I know that from Mid-City Can, the Youth Council there, to the Blue Heart Foundation, Team Enough, Sunrise Movement, March for Our Lives, many others, there are young people everywhere who are mobilizing to take action and improve people's lives. When I was prior to being elected to the council, I served as the executive director of an organization called Youth Will, and I got to see, firsthand in that role, the brilliance of young folks, not just, with creativity, but like really smart policy analysis that was grounded in their day-to-day experiences, your day-to-day experiences. And when I referenced your expertise, I sincerely believe that young people have a sort of wisdom that is not tapped into often enough. You all have the ability to see the world in a way that you just cannot see as you get older. You have more capacity for hope. You have more capacity to imagine things being different than they are. And you also are the experts in what it means to be a young person in 2021. So no matter how in touch and engaged and cool Ben and I try to be, we cannot be young people in 2021. You are living a unique experience that is unreplicated by anyone who's older than you. And all of us, not just young folks, but the entire city, and I would say the world, would benefit from us as adults being more willing to recognize and honor that wisdom and expertise, and utilize it in creating policy and making changes to make the world a better place. So I'll get off that soapbox. I could talk about how awesome you are all day, but I know that you have business to conduct. But I just will tell you that what you're doing as a youth commission is going to be so important, because by doing the work that you're doing, you're going to create a space for literally hundreds of thousands of San Diegans who have until now been forced to express your voices, your opinions, your perspectives from the outside. and hope that adults would do a good enough job of translating that. And that's no longer the case, right? Like you can speak directly for the other young people in our community as young people in your community. So thank you again to you all. Thank you again to the mayor, Todd Gloria, and his team for reactivating the commission. Matthew, for your support. Stephanie, for your support. I want to make sure I give some recognition to Sophie Barnhurst from Councilmember Campillo's team. Sophie has been a really, really good ally with our office as our office has worked together with Councilmember Campillo's office to fight for the Office of Child and Youth Success. So you've got some allies in here, but allies, can't do it without hearing directly from the folks who are experiencing the impact, and that is you. So thank you again for doing this work. Thank you, Ben, for providing support to y'all. I cannot wait to start to turn your ideas into policy action. Have a fantastic first meeting. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Council President Ela Rivera, for your comments and for providing that context for why the Youth Commission is really so important. And honestly, a lot of the things that you said really resonated, particularly because like there's so many decisions that are made that, like you said, directly impact us, right? And especially in the city of San Diego, there's like 440,000 youth, and they're such an integral part of our community that I think I'm so glad that there's finally a platform through the Youth Commission for those youth voices to be represented. And like you said, I think there's just something about like being a youth and interacting with other youth that you understand youth issues from such a different perspective than looking at it from the outside. And that's true for a lot of different issues, but I think particularly for youth, because of that, it's really important to have a commission like this that can pitch in when big decisions are being made. So so thank you for your comments and providing that context for us. Yeah, and like you said, 100%, I would like to thank the mayor for taking that initiative by reinstating the Youth Commission and his team, like Matthew, Stephanie, and Ben, for being a constant support system for us to make sure that it's going the way that it's supposed to. So youth are indeed our future, and it's so important for there to be a platform for their voice. And we see that platform right before us, right? Our super dedicated, incredible panel of youth commissioners. We have such a diverse set of interests already. Looking at kind of what their goals and interests are. We have people who are passionate about like homelessness, juvenile justice issues, people who see environmental transportation issues in their areas, mental health. We have people who are seeing the adverse effects of, the refugee and immigration crises, like bad police practices. And there's just so many areas that our youth commissioners are so passionate about, and it's great that these issues are being represented from the youth perspective. It is my genuine belief that the Youth Commission is going to be playing a really pivotal role in all these plethora of issues. And in my perspective, I kind of see this going in a couple ways, right? One is we have so many commissions in the city of San Diego, and I think by collaborating with these commissions, which previously didn't have that youth component, we'll be providing that aspect of things. One of the things that we want to do going forward, one of our goals is to form subcommittees within the Youth Commission itself, focused on specific areas, comprised of people who are particularly passionate about those areas. And of course, like I said, just being a direct advisory to the mayor is just an incredible opportunity. The city of San Diego itself has, I believe, more than 350 youth development programs, and these programs have been working tirelessly to, for like betterment of youth over the last several decades. And one of our additional goals is to start working with these organizations and bring them before our commission in order to raise awareness and start pushing for serious reform. and as Council President Elo Rivera mentioned, the Youth Commission is being reinstated after a long break. So the commission has a lot of work to do, and just in terms of getting organized and start playing an active role in terms of listening to our youth. So myself, along with my fellow commissioners, we hope to be accessible to each and every one of you. So if you guys have any concerns whatsoever, just know that we're always available. We're always open to having those conversations. So I speak on behalf of myself and my commissioners when I say this, but please feel free to reach out to us. So with that being said, we'll now proceed to the non-agenda public comment. For a little bit of, so the non-agenda public comment is basically time for the public to comment on items that are not necessarily on the agenda. So Ben, if you could please take it away for the public comment.
Yes, so if you are a member of the public and interested in commenting, please raise your hand by either tapping the raise your hand button on your computer, tablet, or smartphone, or by dialing *9 on your phone. You'll be taken in the order your hand was raised. When we indicate it is your turn to speak, please unmute yourself or dial *6 on your phone. The public comment period is now open. And I believe everyone on this call is either city staff or our youth commissioners. This is a great trial run, y'all. So thank you for bearing with us. Without seeing any hands raised, Madam Chair, I think that concludes non-agenda public comment.
All right, thank you, Ben. So we'll move on then to the next item on our agenda. So today we have an informational item. For everyone's reference, an informational item on the agenda just consists of kind of informational reports or presentations. So these do not require any like the commission's action. So staff of the Our Climate, Our Future initiative, if you could please introduce yourselves for the record and just let us know how much time your presentation will take, that would be awesome.
Definitely. Thank you so much. My name is Mariah Saldana, and I'm the program coordinator with the Climate Action Plan team for the Sustainability and Mobility Department. I'm joined here today with Alyssa Muto, our Director of Sustainability and Mobility, Heather Werner, our Deputy Director, and then Ashley Rosia Tremonti, our Program Manager for the team. Our presentation will take 10 minutes today, and then we have 15 minutes, I believe, reserved for questions or any comment.
Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Excellent. We'll start off. I'm just so honored to be here today and to be one of your first presenters. It's just really a thrill for me. I should be sharing my screen now. Let me know if you do not see it. Okay, perfect. Looks like we're good. So again, I'm Mariah Saldana. I'm here on behalf of the Climate Action Plan team to talk about our updated Climate Action Plan. It is in draft, so we are soliciting public comment and public feedback. This is just the beginning of a really robust engagement program that we're planning right now. So we really look forward to receiving input from this group and really from your network, from your friends, from your family. We'd love to open this up and have a conversation to really bring youth and involve them into this. The branding is Our Climate, Our Future, and that couldn't be truer for anyone outside of this group. It really is your future, as I've been saying to whenever I'm coming to a youth group, anyone younger than me, I guess. So to start, I'm really excited to say that the update to the city's climate action plan sets a net zero greenhouse gas emissions target for 2035. We're also looking at an interim 2030 goal to achieve our fair share of reductions based on our gross domestic product, or our GDP. So this means that wealthier countries are looking to take more of the burden for earlier climate action. And doing this, having that fair share by 2030 target, solidifies our city's commitment to joining that global effort to address climate change. We used a prioritization model developed by the University of Rotterdam and adapted that model to our city's needs. That way we were able to incorporate the core benefits that are important to our residents, so air quality, the economy and jobs, and then also look at feasibility and the potential for equitable impact of every action. This information is presented in the document under each measure. So as you review, you'll be able to see more information on everything that went into our selection process for the actions. Lastly, this update is going to maintain our CEQA streamlining process that's been a part of the city's climate action plan since 2015. This is really important to making sure that we're supporting sustainable development continuing in the city so that we can continue to grow. So what does a net zero city mean? The city of San Diego joined the United Nations Race to Zero initiative in August 2021, where we pledged to achieve net zero emissions as soon as possible by mid-century at the latest. We use the International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives, or the ICLEI Community Protocol, to develop these science-based targets for 2030 and 2035. These targets account for our fair share, again, of greenhouse gas emission reduction potential by accounting, again, for our gross domestic product. This allows for more accountability for our historic responsibility and our current capacity to address the climate crisis relative to cities across the world. The process for developing this update to the Climate Action Plan consisted of three main activities. First, robust community engagement. We were really looking to center this process in equity and did that by developing and collecting and responding to data, such as demographic information. That way our activities were informed and ensured that San Diegans who are historically left out of our planning processes had their voices heard and reflected in this document. We also did significant internal engagement with staff and leadership throughout the city to build a foundation for implementation. So to make sure that we were creating a plan that could actually happen. And we developed a methodology for the selection of actions within the Climate Action Plan, connecting these actions to data that would inform their prioritization. And again, that was using that prioritization tool, known as the Climate Prio tool, if you look a little deeper into the document. So when I say that we're centering the Climate Action Plan on climate equity, what does that mean? I want to start by sharing what we have defined climate equity to mean at the city, which is addressing historical inequities suffered by people of color, allowing everyone to fairly share the same benefits and burdens from climate solutions, and attain full and equal access to opportunities regardless of one's background or identity. We work to incorporate the concept of equity into the document and our processes by working with the Equity Stakeholder Working Group, a group comprised of 35 community-based organizations and nonprofits, to come to consensus on key points of developing the Climate Action Plan, including incorporating the Climate Equity Index directly into the document and using the definition of communities of concern. We also contracted with the Institute for Local Government and 6 community partners to focus engagement efforts in our communities of concern last spring. That directly informed that list of core benefits and as well as brought in new actions into the Climate Action Plan. So going a little bit deeper into the engagement that we did to develop the draft, overall, more than 3,300 people participated in our engagement efforts. Staff-led engagement efforts included a virtual survey, community forums, and community presentations. And we also partnered with the library to create a climate action activity book for children, and we distributed 10,000 copies in English and Spanish during the pandemic. We did find that with our first phase of engagement, residents of communities in concern were underrepresented. So for our second phase of engagement, we partnered with the Institute for Local Government, Greenlining, Environmental Health Coalition, Mid-City Can, Casa Familiar, San Diego Urban Sustainability Coalition, and Climate Action Campaign for more focused engagement in our communities. One of our earliest goals for the Climate Action Plan update was to better center core benefits, also known as the positive externalities or outcomes of climate action. We wanted to do this through both quantification, so analyzing how they would be affected over the term, but also prioritizing actions based on these core benefits. So core benefits include things like air quality improvements, technological advancement, cost savings, etc. We analyzed all of the feedback that we received from our communities to best understand what core benefits are most important in San Diego. And we found these came to the top. air quality, public health, jobs and economy, and resiliency. As you read through the strategies in the draft document, you'll see not only the core benefits associated with each measure laid out, but you'll also see how city staff rate actions for feasibility and also for the potential for equitable implementation. So every action within the measure informs this aggregation so that you can see where we'll need to direct more resources to actually implement these actions. As you review the document, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So I want to take some time to just break down the hierarchy of each strategy. We have 6 strategies, and within those strategies, we have targets, which are basically how we have quantified how that strategy will help us achieve our overall emission reduction goals. Those targets are linked to measures which are quantified and includes actions, policies, or programs that the city is specifically going to take to achieve the goals. It's those actions where we rated them for feasibility and potential for equitable implementation. So now to get into the strategies. Our first strategy, decarbonization of the built environment, aims to remove natural gas from the built environment over a period of time. We look to dramatically avoid greenhouse gas emissions from buildings across the city. The strategy includes measures to address emissions from existing buildings, municipal facilities, and for new development. This accounts for a significant amount of the reductions necessary to achieve net zero. For example, by addressing natural gas usage in existing buildings, we have the potential to avoid over 1.9 million metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions in 2035. Our strategy 2 is our access to clean and renewable energy. This maintains our commitment to 100% renewable energy and now acknowledges that the pathway to achieve this target is through San Diego Community Power, or community choice aggregation. This target remains the largest, or one of the largest, the city can achieve to avoid greenhouse gas emissions. We're also setting more ambitious targets for converting the city's fleet of electric vehicles to electric, and for the first time, increasing the number of electric vehicles used by our communities. Our partnership with San Diego Community Power will be essential to maintaining progress and significantly help with our decarbonization efforts. Strategy 3, mobility and land use, focuses on greenhouse gas emissions from the transportation sector, which account for over half of all greenhouse gas emissions in San Diego. We've updated our previous mode share target, which previously accounted for resident commuters in transit priority areas only. So that's people on their trips to work every day, but specifically people who live near transit stops. But now we've updated to account for our entire population in all areas of the city. We've also incorporated a target specific to increasing the amount of telecommuters, as this was something that came up frequently during our engagement, as you can imagine. Strategy 4 is our circular economy and clean communities strategy. This maintains a 90% waste diversion rate, so we're getting waste out of our landfill, as well as a landfill methane capture. We also heard from community members the importance of connecting the climate action plan to healthy food access, as well as food recovery. And we included measure 4.3 on local food systems and food recovery to respond to that input. Strategy 5, resilient infrastructure and healthy ecosystems, has expanded to include targets for the restoration of salt marshland, for sequestration, and increasing our local water supply through pure water. We continue to maintain an urban tree canopy coverage goal that prioritizes tree planting efforts in our communities of concern. So while the strategies I just went through are transformational, there will be residual greenhouse gas emissions, or emissions that will exist after all of those measures have been implemented. These emissions will need to be addressed to achieve this net zero goal. Further action, new policies, technological innovation, partnerships, and research are all necessary components of emerging climate actions that are beyond our current ability to quantify and assess. So the incorporation of this strategy into the climate action plan allows for the city to be on the cutting edge of climate action and to continue the work necessary to bring the greatest amount of emission reductions as early as possible. So again, this is just the start of the plan. This is a draft plan, and we're looking for input from across the city. We have a virtual open house going on. And so you can get to that at sandiego.gov/SD climate action. I'll put the link in the chat in a second, as well as my direct email. This, I think, is a really neat way to share your comments on the draft. You can review the draft section by section, leave comments specifically to the section that you're commenting on. You can also see what others have commented and like it or dislike it or reply. And then there's also surveys that you can take as you review the plan. So we knew that we needed to get creative in this virtual era. So this is the start of our response to that. Also stay engaged with us. You can sign up for a mailing list at sandiego.gov/sustainability. From there, you'll see updates of future opportunities to get involved with the plan. And really just, share it out with your network, share it with your friends. I'd really appreciate getting the word out as much as possible. While the draft climate action plan has been publicly released, we've begun to think through an implementation plan. We understand that as we approach closer to what the city will do to reduce greenhouse gas emissions through the climate action plan, there's that strong desire to better understand the specifics around how. We will work diligently to provide further details on the implementation plan as the climate action plan is finalized and more information becomes available. So with that, I'll put some links in the chat and I can open it up for questions.
Thank you for that presentation. It was actually really well put together and super informative. So I really appreciate the Our Climate, Our Future initiative of the City of San Diego to come and talk to the Youth Commission today. So now if any youth commissioners have any comments or questions, just please raise your hand using the little Zoom function, and then Ben will call on you in the order in which it shows up and give you an opportunity to have the microphone.
Oscar? Oh, sorry.
Go for it, Oscar.
Moria, thank you so much for recognizing me. And also I wanted to say that it was an amazing presentation that you gave. I wanted to ask a question in regards to the landfills that are here in San Diego. I wanted to ask if there is, I need to do more research on this, but maybe is there a certain plan as to how much landfill is left here in Miramar? If there's a certain amount of space that we're using, and once it is completely full, what areas are we looking to use as like, I guess you can say, space for landfill? And I know that at the Miramar landfill, we also accept, I guess you can say it's like green, like
Green waste or organic?
waste, like, yeah. And it's used to make different things that like what's it called?
Compost.
Compost, yes. So I wanted to know if there's any programs in particular that the city can create for you to learn more about, like the composting process, and how we can create as well, like more community gardens through that process as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Oscar, for that question. I'm really excited. That's actually my background, is back in zero waste. So the Miramar landfill is the currently operating landfill within the city of San Diego. That's where a lot of the trash from our municipal operations, or also from our residential waste, is taken. That landfill, we developed a zero waste plan in 2015 to reduce the amount of waste that comes from the city in total. And that plan has been somewhat successful at being able to prolong the life of the landfill. So currently we're not looking to, expand that or anything at this point, and we're still see kind of that as the short-term plan for it. And as we work to get closer to that 90% waste diversion rate, there will be less need for that landfill space in total. So that's the overall plan. The greener that you mentioned is one really key component of that. So that's about turning the organic waste that we create into compost that can be reused. And that would be, I think, a really great another presentation for this group, like you're saying, to get more involved in composting or even just to learn more about that process in general. Because that's going to be another major thing that's coming to the city, to really get more and more of our waste processed like that so that it can be reused. So I think that about answers it, but let me know if if you have any follow-up questions, and I'd be happy to put you in contact with environmental services as well.
So if no one else has any questions, I just have one. How do you see like youth particularly kind of, what can they do at this point to get involved in terms of the mission of like reducing the carbon footprint within San Diego, right? So what are some initiatives that youth can take now?
Oh, well, the first thing that I'll be a little self directed for is getting more feedback on the climate action plan draft. So the more you can do to share it out with your network and to get more voices heard on it. When we were developing that brand or that theme for Our Climate, Our Future, definitely the youth were the first thing that came to my mind. And again, just going back to, it's all of our climates, it's all of our future. We all have to take part in it by doing our own part, by also advocating for the city to go even further, which is what we're aiming to do with our net zero goal. But I go back to, it's really your future that we're working on. So the more that you can get your friends and your network to participate and to look at the draft and to share their feedback, the better we can make that the final plan. Second to that is, it really just speaks to whatever is passionate for you. I think, like Oscar said, with composting, you can start a community compost. You can do a backyard composting. You can, work to use public transportation more or plan a party around public transportation. Anything that you can do to make those kind of everyday actions and to make them more sustainable. There's a lot of, like, wherever your passions are, there's something that you can do.
Can I also, hi everybody, I'm Alyssa Muda, I'm the Director of Sustainability and Mobility. I just want to first say, I feel honored that we are at your first meeting of the Youth Commission, so thank you for including us, Chairperson and members of the committee. A couple other things that I think can be helpful is, as you are looking through the plan, there are over 100 actions that we've identified to get us to zero. But you might have more ideas and more actions that we haven't even thought of that are more attainable to youth populations. I have a high schooler, a middle schooler, and an elementary school kid, and they have much different ideas than I do about how to be sustainable. So please provide that feedback. But also hopefully that list of over 100 actions gives you some insight more into San Diego as a region and where we are looking to create more policy and how you can get involved. So that might be around MTS and improving transit services across the city and across the region. Maybe it's something around electric vehicles, or it's about the equity component of attaining electric vehicles and how do we charge them in our communities, and what does that mean as you all are starting to look to driving or getting around in mobility with your friends and so I think that's really a couple other spaces that we would like to encourage your participation, and stay connected with us, reach out, and please, if you'd like to have us back to talk more about any of these particular strategies, I think that's something that we would love to have more of an open conversation about topics with this group, and to get more of your direct feedback about general sustainability topics that can help inform our department as well. So thank you again for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Do any other commissioners have any questions? I'd also just like to take this time before any other commissioner wants to ask a question. If you're a commissioner, please turn on your camera for our meeting So yeah, so just make sure to please turn on your camera. Yeah, so does any commissioner want to ask any additional questions? All right, I actually have just one more, if that's okay. So I was wondering, so in what capacity do you guys work with private companies? How do you incentivize them to work with you? Like work with the city? Because I know sometimes they can be major contributors, and I think by making partnerships with them is sometimes a really effective way to tackle climate issues within the city. So I was just wondering what initiatives have been made or like, you know, are in line for the future in that regard.
Definitely, thank you. Yeah, especially here in San Diego, that's really important to us. The sustainability team used to be a part of our economic development department, so that's always been close to our heart. So through the climate action plan, each of those strategies really has different ways that we would work about getting private companies involved in that, whether through incentives, which is often the ideal, or through more regulatory measures. So for example, one of them would be our building benchmarking ordinance program, where we work with not developers, but building owners to help them report on their energy data. And there we definitely do it more incentive based, and we offer a lot of assistance to them so that they can have a better time looking at their building energy data to see where they could improve their energy efficiency in their buildings. So that's one example, and you know, happy to kind of go into detail on any others if there's a specific strategy you're thinking of.
All right. So thank you, Mariah and Alyssa, for coming and talking to us today. We really appreciate you, like I said, for being here and giving us this new perspective for us to think about. So just a final call for any questions from the commissioners before we move on to the next item on our agenda. All right. So the next item on our agenda is action items. One second. Oh, sorry, Oscar, did you raise your hand?
It's okay. I'm sorry, Chair.
Okay. So okay, we will then keep going. So like I said, our next item is action items. Just for a little bit of definitions, action item is just it can really be like any motions, resolutions, or recommendations that require an official vote and approval by the commission in order for it to pass. So as the first order of business for this year, I would like to establish a subcommittee to look into amending the City of San Diego Youth Commission Municipal Code. The current municipal code for the Youth Commission, which is Article 26.601 to Article 26.605. It was last amended all the way back in 2013. So it's pretty outdated right now, and a lot of the topics in it, like, you know, who qualifies as youth and like how the Youth Commission is funded, all those items need to be updated. One of the interesting things for us is that the state of California recently passed the California Youth Empowerment Act under the AB 46 bill, and it was signed into law pretty recently. And I think that provides a really good template for us to model our San Diego Youth Commission after. I think fundamentally the municipal code revision, it obviously needs to be customized in order for us to serve the youth of San Diego and in a way that accommodates the concerns that are the issues of concern to the youth that we are representing. So a couple expectations for this committee. I kind of see it having a subcommittee chair, a vice chair, and along with interested members within our commission. The term for the chair and vice chair will be until the duration of the submission of the final report, or when this body decides to terminate this subcommittee. The chair will hold meetings with the subcommittee and provide the body with kind of a timeline for the proposed changes. I expect the subcommittee chair to revisit, like, I'm just going to name a couple of the things that are there. These are among many things that this committee should consider, but some of the things are, the definition of youth, establishing like a youth commission fund with the city treasury, revisiting roles and responsibilities of youth commissioners, maybe creating that subcommittee system that I was referring to near the beginning, and also like establishing rules for ad hoc and standing committees. The subcommittee chair, they'll put out something called a request for comments. They'll allow like 30 days or so for to solicit any additional inputs from other commissioners and the public. And then the final revised municipal code will be voted on by the youth commission and approved when and voted on when the final report is submitted. So yeah, with that in mind, I move to create a subcommittee for the revision of the municipal code. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Rendon. So seeing a second, is there any discussion about establishing a subcommittee? So seeing no hands, the motion has been properly moved and seconded. So we established the municipal code revision subcommittee. Now we will proceed to vote on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, please raise the hand in the Zoom application. Yep, please raise your hands.
Yeah, and if you could leave them up so I can take note of who voted for them really quickly.
And then once you're done counting, if you give us a tally.
Perfect. That is 10 votes approving the item. 12 votes.
Perfect. Thank you. So the motion passes with 12 votes. So now I'll entertain a motion for nominations for the chair of the Municipal Code Revision Subcommittee. As a reminder, any commissioner can nominate themselves or any other commissioner. So with that being said, are there any nominations for chair?
Chair.
All right. So Oscar, nominate you. So I move to nominate Oscar for the chair of the subcommittee for the municipal revision for the subcommittee for the municipal code review. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. So I would now like to open it for discussion. Yes, Oscar, go ahead.
I just want to say to all of my fellow commissioners who serve on the commission that I believe that this is a really great opportunity for us to get an experience to look over the past work that the Youth Commission has done, and by providing recommendations to what we want to see, I guess you can say, implemented for future youth commissioners. I think that this is a really great way for us to hit the ball rolling. I know that in other meetings we will have the opportunity to meet with other organizations and so on. But I think that this committee is really important, and hopefully, if I am able to serve as a chair for the subcommittee, I can reach out to everyone, and we will have at least 4 to 6 members, as Chair Anusha wishes, to work on this, and hopefully we can have more than 6 members attend as well, because I think that everyone's input on this is very important.
Thank you, Commissioner Oster, for your comments. And 100% echo what you said. I think it's really important, especially because this is the first time in years that the Youth Commission is coming back. It's really important. The subcommittee is going to be playing a really important role in kind of establishing that guidelines to get us get the ball rolling. So, so this is certainly a really important a role that the subcommittee is going to be playing. So that being said, we have Commissioner Oster. So we'll now move to vote for the chair of the subcommittee. So all those in favor of Commissioner Oster being the chair of this of the Municipal Code Review subcommittee, please raise your hand now.
Chair, 11, that's 11 votes in favor of Commissioner Rendon.
Thank you, Ben. So seeing that Commissioner Oster got the most number of votes, the motion is passed to nominate and appoint Commissioner Oster as the chair of the Municipal Code Review Subcommittee. So now we're going to be doing a similar procedure for the vice chair. So now I will be entertaining a motion for nominations to the vice chair position for the subcommittee. And again, any commissioner is able to nominate themselves or any other commissioner. So at this time, are there any nominations? All right, Commissioner, can you please say your first name again? I apologize.
I'm Barrett. Hi.
Hi.
I have some experience in doing something similar to this, so I can nominate myself, I guess.
Perfect.
Unless someone is like secret, just waiting for someone to like speak up before they speak up, I can take on that position.
Thank you, Commissioner Barrett. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Now I'd like to open it up for discussion. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any hands. There we go. So seeing no discussion, we will now move to vote for Commissioner Barrett as chair. So all those in favor of, vice chair. So all those in favor of Commissioner Barrett for the position of vice chair of the subcommittee, please raise your hand now.
Chair, that is 12 votes in approval of Commissioner Barrett.
Thank you, Ben. So the motion passes, and the motion to nominate and appoint Commissioner Barrett as the vice chair of the Municipal Code Subcommittee is passed. is passed. So with that, that concludes our action item portion of our agenda. We'll now move on to our final item on our agenda for today's meeting, and that's going to be the chair's report. This is just going to be a couple quick reminders. The first item is going to be on vaccination records. It's just a reminder that commissioners are required to submit their vaccination records to serve in public office. So all of you should have received an email from Ben about what and how to submit your vaccination records. If you didn't receive an email like that yet, then please reach out to Ben, and I'm sure he can help you out with that. With regard to the oath cards, they should have been sent in by now to Alexander Flores. I know a couple of you reached out, but I think we've been dealing with that individually and taking care of most of the things. So that's that. The next thing is the Brown Act training. First of all, thank you to all of the commissioners who have already completed their Brown Act training. I believe there's still 8 commissioners who need to acknowledge that they have completed this training. So please do this as soon as possible so we can get the ball rolling on that. And then with regard to the city emails, there's a need right now to get all the commissioners on the city SharePoint. That way we can exchange any sensitive or confidential information. The .gov emails right now are still a work in progress. So any updates that kind of come along with that, we'll definitely let you know. And last but not least, if you'd like to update your bios from what was communicated from that initial press release about the Youth Commission, then please upload your bios to that Google form. I don't have an exact date yet about when the bios will go up on the city website, but I think the IT department might be a little bit backed up right now, but I'm sure that'll happen in due time. So just make sure if you'd like to make any revisions to do so now. And I know a couple commissioners have already done that, but if that's still of interest to you, then please go ahead and do that. So with that, I move to adjourn this meeting at 5:02 p.m.